Hello and welcome to my review of the Clint Eastwood directed biopic J. Edgar, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Armie Hammer, and Naomi Watts. This is a film about J. Edgar Hoover, the man who ran the FBI for over 25 years. And the movie centers on his life, obviously, and just goes through his investigations, his achievements, his failures, and above all, his controversial romantic interests. And it's just an overall portrait of what this man was like privately and publicly. I'm not gonna lie, I had huge expectations going into this film. I thought this was gonna be one of the top best picture contender, best films of the year, movies that I'd own and watch over and over again just for the brilliant structure and amazingness of it. And unfortunately, it was just alright to pretty good. The one thing in this film that did turn out as good as I expected was Leonardo DiCaprio's fantastic lead performance as J. Edgar Hoover. Whether it be Frank Abagnale, Howard Hughes, or J. Edgar Hoover, Leonardo DiCaprio nails every role that he plays, and this movie is no exception. One of the most interesting choices he made was giving J. Edgar Hoover a great sense of arrogance, but at the same time, a lot of vulnerability. But despite that, making him completely unlikable, and I thought that was a fascinating choice. Watching this movie is like watching Daniel Plainview from There Will Be Blood run law enforcement. Except it's a little different because I'm just saying because both are just incredibly despicable, but let me explain. It's because J. Edgar Hoover does have good intentions, but his whole brash, arrogant sense of himself, and he almost portrays himself as a deity in this film, you hate him. Because his arrogance is just so palpable, and DiCaprio plays this brilliantly. The rest of the cast, and this is strange for an Eastwood film, is very, very minimal. And this is really strange, because Armie Hammer comes out the best out of all of this. He was the Winklevoss twins last year in The Social Network, and he gives a decent performance as Clyde Tolson, who's J. Edgar Hoover's right-hand man. But the rest of the people in this movie, and these are big names, are fairly minimalized and have nothing to do. Naomi Watts, Josh Lucas as Charles Lindbergh, who I was actually really looking forward to seeing in this film and was completely minimalized, and Judi Dench as J. Edgar Hoover's mom. They're decent while they're on, but their characters are so small. But the other thing I liked about this movie is pretty much that I find this period of time fascinating. And some of the episodes, if you will, of this film, I was completely entranced. I found them really interesting, mainly the Charles Lindbergh segment and the rioter segment in the beginning. I thought that was very, very interesting. The rest of the movie, we're getting to it. I can sum up my issue with this film in one word: flowery. This movie is 2 hours and 18 minutes of reading a very well-written history book. There's a lot of facts and a lot of information being thrown at you, but not in a way that really takes you in your seat and throws you into the time period. I'm sorry, this movie needed a different director. Clint Eastwood is a brilliant director, and he has a great sense of good, quiet films. But that's not what this movie needed to be. This movie needed, because this is a movie about crime and lying and just all these huge themes, and Eastwood presents it in such a way that you'd think he'd be falling asleep behind the camera. There's just so much that could be going on here, but it's presented in such a sluggish fashion. Every scene is so dark and so weirdly tinted, which is a pretty way to look at it, but it's almost putting you to sleep while watching it. And not to mention the script, I also think they needed a different writer, because the dialogue in here just feels very, very bland for the most part. You never get a sense of these characters through their dialogue. It's the performances is what gives you that good character development. But the dialogue, for the most part, is very stiff, and I was really disappointed about that. I hate to say it, because this name is kind of my go-to good writer, but this script really needed an Aaron Sorkin to come in and really punch it up and make everything feel important and powerful and make all these characters really pop off the screen, and this film does not do that. And that is the ultimate sin on this film, and that's why it's getting such negative reception, is because it's just not exciting. It's interesting, but it's never as captivating or exciting as it might think it is. I feel like there are just certain themes in this movie that if they wanted to go for them, go for them. Like, really come at them hard. And this film just kind of glosses through them. But despite all these flaws, I mentally prepared myself for that going into the film, so I was able to enjoy it for the reasons I mentioned before. However, the last 20 minutes of this film, all goodwill that it had built up just completely unraveled, and it became a train wreck. This movie blows up in your face in the last 20 minutes. It starts to focus on the older J. Edgar Hoover, and there's a scene between Leonardo DiCaprio and Armie Hammer where they're both in old man makeup. That is one of the most laughable attempts at a dramatic scene I've probably ever seen. It is god-awful. And there are I counted, three false endings. And by that point, you're sitting there for about 2 hours. You want to get up and leave. But it just keeps going. Oh, we're going to end it? No. Oh, we're going to end it? No. So overall, this is a fairly disappointing movie, and I hate to say that because I was looking forward to it so much. It's intriguing, and it's well acted for the most part, but it's so marginal and so flowery and so long that I wish a more ballsy filmmaker would have come in and just went for it. But I'm going to give J. Edgar 2.5 stars out of 4 because I did enjoy certain elements of it. So that was my review of J. Edgar. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I'm Movie Kid Mike, making sure your time is worth your money.